Good morning, guys. Rainy fall day. I was up at 4 o'clock, supposed to go hunting, meet my dad for 6. And I called him from the gas station. It was pouring rain and he said, nope, we're not doing this today, go back to bed. So that wasn't going to happen because I've already been up for a couple hours. So I thought I want to take this opportunity and do a Transcending with Gary video. Lately, I don't know what it is, but I am just feeling now more than ever connected to something, the universe, myself, I don't know, something. I am more aware now of things going on, and it got me thinking, this spiritual awakening that I'm going through, is this actually a scientifically known or accepted process that humans go through? What I want to talk about in this video is spiritual awakening, but as it is recognized across the world. If this was just something that was happening to me, to Gary, I would say, cool, I'm becoming a better person. But this is something that happens to millions of people the world over. It doesn't matter which country, which culture, east, west. People go through a transition in their life and become spiritually aware, take a step back from themselves, and feel a connectedness, know that there is more to the world, and we go through a whole process, and there are steps and things involved in this process that are well documented from many different cultures in the world. And I want to talk about some of those today because I'm feeling all of them. And I'm feeling this Transcending with Gary video series has sped this process up in myself. I've been working on myself spiritually for a decade, and I don't feel I've grown as much as I have in the last 6 months to a year, in the previous decade, as I have since we started with the Surviving Together series, right? I know that within Gary is a teacher. Yes, I've actually been a teacher, but on just a base human level, I enjoy sharing the things that I've learned with other people. I enjoy seeing other people grow and get it. When a child or a student learns something that you're teaching them, it's an amazing feeling, not only for them, but for the person teaching them to say, I've passed that on. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the steps and things that go into spiritual awakening. I'm feeling them. Are you guys feeling them? Are you going through these same things? Is there something that I've maybe haven't touched on today? There's probably a lot I haven't touched on. Let me know in the comments below. There's so much going on right now. I just want to touch on some of it and acknowledge that this is happening to millions of people the world over right now. And it blows my mind that we're not born spiritually awake, that we fall into this. And how do we fall into this? First of all, to go through the process of spiritual awakening, we have to have something happen in our lives. A sickness, a depression, a loss of job, a loss of a close loved one, something that totally flips our psyche on its head, something that occurs that makes us take a step back from ourselves, and we realize that there's more to this world than the small little life that we've been leading. And that's essentially what this whole process is. It's the opening up of your mind, the giving more of yourself, and quite often it's kicked off with this life-altering or changing event that occurs, and it can be followed by a depression, or it can even be just caused by a depression, right? We'll snap out of it and we'll say, hey, there's more to this life, what's going on? And that's kind of how my process started about 10 years ago. I had worked for many years to get to a certain position in the workforce that I wanted to be at this top tier level, and I lost that job after a year. Not due to anything that I did, just the way the markets work in the industry that I was in. And I kind of lost who I was, or thought who I was. And I went through this deep, dark depression, had a life-altering, change. And from that point on is when my process started. So it absolutely started the way, this has been documented around the world for me. And I know there are, other things, sicknesses and death of loved ones that can cause that as well. And it's not always those things that cause it, right? You can go through one of those things and not begin the spiritual awakening process, because my best friend died when I was 20 and he was 21. And that would have been the perfect time for Gary to spiritually awaken, but it wasn't my time. It wasn't the right time. So what occurs when we're going through this spiritual awakening? The first step is that it has to start, right? And that's what we just discussed. Once it starts, then there are other things that we're going to notice more of, and I am noticing a lot of them. When you first come out of this life-altering process, you're going to feel, or can feel, disconnected, you know? You're not who you were, you know that. None of the things that interested you seem as important now. That's part of it. This is part of the feeling of, I need to change because nothing is as important as it was. Nothing is as it was. You're going to lose some core beliefs, whether it's... it can be religious, it can have nothing to do with religion, right? It can be just beliefs that you hold dear in any facet of your life. It's going to change. Things are changing. This is going to cause you to reevaluate your beliefs, your spirituality, your religion, right? You're going to start questioning all of these things. And yeah, I've done all of that, right? From being a not very religious person, as I say, when I went to school for environmental biology, I would have steadfastly argued with you that there was no God. That was just some weird delusion that people told themselves to feel better. And as I've progressed through my life, I've seen too many things happen to not at least question that there is something of a greater power out there that knows more than I know. Now, whether it is a God or whether it's a higher self or whether it's a spirituality that I don't know, I do believe there is something out there. I'm not ready to put a finger on what it is and say, because I don't know. I'm still exploring that facet, but yes, I have changed. My core beliefs have changed. People often say that once they've begun this process, their dreams become more vivid. That certainly happened to me. I've mentioned to you guys on the channel that I have talked to dead relatives. My friend Jim, who passed away when he was 20, some of the most vivid dreams I've had were speaking to these relatives and getting answers from them and remembering the answers. This is why I believe the dreams were so real, so vivid, that I believe I was actually there. I was somewhere else. It wasn't just a dream. Some of the things that were said to me, my friend Jim said that Grant and I needed to start growing our gardens so that they would be as big as our bellies at the time of our passing. This is what Jim said to me. Now he was a different guy. He did talk like that. He did say some stuff like that, which was, and I'm like, you know, would my own mind have come up with that? Absolutely. I believe no. I believe I was given that message. And what did Jim mean by that? Grant and I have always been kind of introverted, you know, keep your small group of friends and you don't need to have any more than that. And you can count your best friends on one hand kind of thing. That's just the way we were growing up in a very small town. And as I've gotten older, I've mentioned to you guys that I'm trying to change that within myself to open up, make new friends, see value in many more people. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's exactly what Jim was saying. You know, you can't have enough friends. You can't give enough of yourself. And that's exactly what he meant. Start growing your garden now so that it is as big as your belly at the time of your passing. And I didn't question what he meant by that. I know what he meant by that, right? And also in that dream, I was given the message, I'm not going to die for a long time. I honestly feel late 80s. I believe that was the message I was given. I just know. I know in myself that was part of it. I also asked Jim what the meaning of life was. And he very clearly told me to just enjoy the here and now. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. You're here for one thing only, and that is, it's not a life lesson, it's just to enjoy. Enjoy this physical realm right here. That was the message. That's what he told me. I had a dream with my grandmother, very vivid as well. She was on a paddle boat. We were going down the Mississippi. I don't know why, but I was there. The wood was creaking. She was on the old like sun tanning beds that they would have had on the deck. I've never seen any of this stuff in real life, but it was there. It was so real. I could hear the paddle wheel turning, the birds, the seagulls. And I had this conversation with her as well. And it was so real. I was there. And she was young. She was healthy. And she told me, you know, the same thing that Jim did. You already know. She said, you already know the meaning of life. And that's just to be happy. And she added one more. She said, and strawberry ice cream. So if you take those two messages, even if they aren't real, okay, even if I didn't speak to these people, and I honestly believe I did, my inner soul is telling me that happiness is just enjoying being here. We don't have to dilute it with a life lesson or a purpose. Be here and in the now and enjoy it. As I've mentioned to you guys in a previous video, your relationships start to change. As we're going through this process of growing and opening our minds and exploring new things and changing our belief systems, many of our friends aren't on that same path. And what you're going to find is, and what I'm finding, I mentioned it to you guys in a video, is maybe we need to move on from those people. We're just not at the same place as we were, and we need to grow new relationships. We don't have to terminate those relationships, but we don't have to put as much importance on them, and we certainly don't let those people hold us back from growing ourselves or experiencing new things. We can maintain and keep that friendship. It just might be at a different level moving forward. We may have new friends that we hang out with more, you know? Many people report being more intuitive, just feeling in touch and knowing, you know, when you're speaking to someone else, knowing the intention, you know, is it really a positive person we're dealing with or not? And guys, I've always been like that. I've always been a great judge of character, but I feel it more now than ever. And I believe that, you know, I just know. It's something within me. I don't see people's auras or any stuff like that, which I would call crazy. But is it crazy? Can people see auras? I don't know, but I get a feeling. I can tell you if you're on the level, right? If you're, I know. I just know. A connection to the natural world. Now, I've always felt connected to the natural world. Wow, that was weird. I have never seen these, never seen this light flicker. Here I am doing a spirituality, Transcending with Gary video. People often say that they can sense energy, you know, and I guess that's part of the intuitive, maybe another person's energy. Not just for good or bad, but I guess if someone's not feeling good, or, you know, you get that sense of a connectedness. I guess that's a good word. The more we grow and work on our spiritual opening, the more people report that they feel connected as a community. Almost a positivity. You're feeling better about everything. You tend to see the good side of things. You tend to feel better, more alive. This is what I'm trying to get at, what I've been feeling, guys, since I started this series, the Transcending with Gary series. I have felt more alive than I felt in a decade. I feel an energy, a goodness about what I'm learning, what I'm doing. Every day that I try to do things for the better of other people, and I feel like I'm growing, I just feel this. Even when I'm not thinking about it, it's more than that, because even when I'm not thinking about it, I just have this good feeling inside myself. I can't explain it, but doing these videos with you guys has sped that process up. I'm feeling it all the time. Before I had to meditate to get into that state of awareness and focus, and this is what I'm going to do to feel better, and I'm going to work on it. Now it just seems to be coming naturally, and I'm feeling it all the time. I'm sensing it all the time. People report the need to learn and keep growing. Curiosity is just, it's bubbling out of them. Now, I've always been a curious person, so I can't say that mine is more. I think I've always been a free thinker, but it definitely hasn't been hurt by this. I'm definitely buying books and reading more now than I have since school. I've got 3 or 4 books stacked up on my desk down there, and I'm reading every night, and I haven't done that in years. So maybe there is something to that, I don't know. Empathy and compassion, people also report that grows, and I agree 100%. I'm thinking more about other people. What can I do for this person to make, you know, their day? And I've seen that in generations that came before me. My grandparents, with the church service that they did. Carrie's, my wife's grandparents. The volunteer work. Not just at church, but community work, right? If you grew up in a small town, we always had a community center. There are always community events being planned by the community elders. They always wanted to keep everyone together, whether it was a baseball tournament, whether it was a dance, whether it was a raffle, somebody's wedding, we were going to have a party, a stag and doe, whatever. The community events were always held when I grew up and organized. And parents, grandparents, I've seen them go through that process of becoming more involved the older they get. And I understand, because another huge part of this growing is wanting to give more of yourself. The great philosophers and spiritualists of the world say that the final steps of spiritual awakening are awareness and service, right? You are aware that you are more, that you are greater, that you can give more, and then the service of helping others and seeing the need in some people. I guess that's part of the empathy, but also that sense of energy and just intuitively knowing what people need and how best to serve. And that's part of becoming a great open person. That's the road I'm on. I'm not there yet. I don't think, are we ever entirely there? I don't know. But all of these things that I've seen in my research, I'm feeling all of it. So well documented throughout cultures around the world, guys, spiritual enlightenment is a process. There are things that are going to occur that all of us are going to feel, steps that all of us are going to go through. These are just some of the ones. I didn't mention synchronicities, and there's a whole section, we've talked about it in a previous video. That's occurring as well, right? Once you start opening your mind to signs from the universe or the spirit world or whatever it is we're dealing with, God, grace, if we talk about the road less traveled, by the grace of God, we will receive these notifications, right? Synchronicities. And yes, I told you guys examples. It is happening to me as well. So if you guys are going through this process, no doubt in my mind, I've checked off a few of those things that are occurring to you in this video. So comment below, guys. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.